on. Yes, I'm typing it all down.
Keysha, clear, spilling tea, no fear, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. I don't lies right here. Spilling tea, no fear. I'm still here. Da 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 da. No. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Yeah. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to Lakeysha Keysha, my dear. Yeah. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Stretch words like
Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. Make sure you subscribe to the Lakeysha.
Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Yeah. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Stretch words like spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Yeah. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Stretch words like
Hello guys, how is everyone doing? It's hot again today. Stay cool because it ain't no joke out there. But let's get into it. Dwayne is going to be joining us shortly. He just sent me a text, so be patient. So let's kind of get into what we're going to talk about in this video. I originally had Dwayne to come on the platform, and good, Dwayne has just joined. So we're going to get into it. So Dwayne is here. We're going to jump right into the interview. We're not going to keep him waiting. Dwayne!
Hey, how you doing today, sis?
Glad to have you back. So, we talked briefly, and I know I had, said before, we got to get you over here more often, but they have been asking for you, okay? So originally you came on and we, talked about the tape, and when I say the tape, we talked about the actual tape that you saw when you went to the Frisco ISD and you filled out the request. Okay, so you came on and you talked about that. Then you came back after they released this edited footage. And I was like, okay, Dwayne, what are you seeing compared to what you originally saw? Now, I invited you back because there's been so much stuff that's been going around. For instance, I'll just give you an example. Now that, you know, they've released this edited video, we still not dumb. So we can kind of make out some of what we see. Now, if we are not able to see each and everything, one thing that we all agree on is that Carmelo was jumped. Like it's nothing not clear about that. So even with seeing that, Dwayne, you know, everybody's looking at the videos. It's also been pointed out now that we see people putting stuff in the garbage can and going back to retrieve it. And I said, you know, I don't feel like he did this. Now it's starting to make sense. And this was the way I thought about it, because I actually shared with them my experience. I said, back in the days, I got in trouble and I was attacked. Had I would have told them people that I was attacked, it would have turned out different. So sometimes when you get in the legal system, you don't know what to say and what not to say. And I actually had a paid attorney. So some of these attorneys are horrible. So when I looked at this situation, I saw him being attacked. And then I said, I really don't even know if he did it. Now, I'm not saying that he could not have picked up a weapon that was already there, because I don't even believe he brought anything to school. Because if I was being attacked and that happened to me, I had to cut her up. You know, I'm just telling you what I did.
Yeah.
Up off me. But I'm just saying, from his standpoint, being surrounded, if there was something there, he could have picked it up. But what I see on the camera is he ran off. And I see them still fighting. So I'm like, I don't understand what just happened, because if Carmelo was the target, why are they not chasing after the target? Like, he's literally out of there and they're still fighting. So it leads me to believe, okay, maybe they were so fighting that they didn't know that he had gotten away or something. I don't know, but I just don't believe he did it. Then if you think about children or even young adults, you can manipulate them. You know, you can manipulate them to say you did this. Well, you know you did it. Well, you did it. You know what I mean? And then if coming a kid from a kid's standpoint and you trust this adult, you'll start having, you know, in your mind like, dang, I didn't think I did it, but maybe I did. So I can understand where he would think that. But judging from what we see, I don't believe he did it. I just don't.
And I can see where you get that from. I remember last year when we were talking about what we saw and how things transpired from the video that we saw at Frisco ISD at the administration building. I was telling people that once Carmelo backed out and ran out the back, you can still see them underneath fighting. You can still see, you know, people still doing things underneath the canopy. And when he fell is when you saw someone actually give attention to him actually being able, knowing that he left. I'll put it that way. And so now that we are all looking at the video and we're not trying to explain what we saw and no one else saw, now everyone can see that he was well gone out of the canopy before Austin even fell down. And we also see that someone else is striking Austin to make him fall down. And so we know that individual is not Carmelo at that point in time. It's right there on the video. This is the prosecution's video. We got to remember, this video that you guys are seeing is not the video footage I saw and that the other 30-some people saw at Frisco ISD. This is the prosecution's evidence that they put into evidence at the courthouse in Judge Roach's court. So we're looking at their evidence that they actually had available to show to the jury and that they knew existed. So that's the difference. And well, so since it's
quick question for you,
go ahead.
Okay, that's even more alarming. So this is the video they used to convict him with the
correct.
With
this
the
is correct. This is the video that they use. They use snippets of it, parts of it. They showed them whatever. But this is the evidence. So if you go to that free website that they created, through the Collin County website, and they give you the links to download those videos. We're looking at the evidence that was presented into the court. So this is, this is only one thing that says defense files, and those are the pictures of Carmelo and his friends and Edwin Parra. That's the only thing the defense presented from their standpoint. Everything else comes from the prosecution, and it's all the information and the documentation that was given into the court that could be presented for evidence. Don't mean they presented it, but it could be presented as evidence. So that's what we're seeing. So from their own video feed and their own video that they proffered, we see that Carmelo is well up out of the canopy before Austin is even in a position to even grab his chest. Because remember, he got punched by this other individual and got shoved when he grabbed his chest. And I said that from the beginning, that when Carmelo was coming out, Austin tried to chase him. And then all of a sudden, Austin came back down, and you can see him grab his chest, and then he fell down. That is exactly what you see on that video. When you look at it, you can see someone actually, when Austin came back down from trying to follow Carmelo, you can see him come down, and someone immediately from the right punches him and thrusts toward him. And then you see him actually fall down, kick the little girl in the poncho, and fall over somebody else. That was after Carmelo was already gone and down.
Right.
And so, again, as you said earlier, Carmelo was told by the coach. The coach testified it to this fact in the courtroom. He said he told Carmelo, if he passes away, your life is over. And Carmelo was like, no, he's going to be all right. Because Carmelo mind at that point in time, and I'm speaking for him, this is not Carmelo speaking, I'm saying this from what the testimony was. Carmelo was telling him that no, based on what I just been through, he should be okay. I'm the one that got harmed. And the coach walked him closer, because we can see on the video, the coach walked him closer to Austin, and showed him Austin. And from his testimony, he said, no, Carmelo, if he passes away, your life is ruined. And he said, then Carmelo started crying uncontrollably. And you can see the coach walk Carmelo further to the left. That's when you see the kids putting stuff in the trash can, taking it out, all this other stuff they were doing, because it was a total of 3 on the top and 1 on the bottom. And you can see exchanges, you can see all kinds of things going down. But from the prosecution's own evidence, Carmelo should have never been charged, period.
I want to say
because it was, go ahead, sis.
Wayne, before you finish, what people are not understanding is Carmelo has no experience with being a rogue, with being a bad kid. He is a sheltered kid that he don't even, honestly, now that I'm learning all of this, I don't even think he understood that people like this actually existed in the world. So I don't think he understood. So when I say that, Carmelo has 0 street knowledge, 0.
Mm-hmm.
So he could easily be told, you did this. And then he's probably like, how? Not really understanding that he didn't do it, but because you told him he did, in his mind, he's like, well, I don't know how I did, but if you told me I did, I don't understand how that could have happened. So when a person has no, and when I say street knowledge, you have to understand it's some dirty MFers out here, and you cannot believe what they do. So I don't think he understood that. He would have been easy to manipulate in that way by an adult. I mean, he says, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. It's nothing wrong with that. But some kids understand when even an adult is on bullshit. I don't think he understood.
Correct. He didn't. And I think people have to understand that he saved a young person from drowning. He was constantly at school helping out the kids with special needs, all those different things. He actually stopped someone from bullying a little kid that was in a wheelchair at school. That's that incident people were talking about from 2024 in November or something like that at the school, where he was actually protecting the kid that someone was bullying in a wheelchair. And so this is the type of individual he was. He was a go-lucky, a happy-go-lucky kid that was just out there living life, getting close to adulthood, understanding that he had opportunities in life to grow and build and mature. And at the same time, he was friendly. He was out there friends to everybody, friendly with everybody, didn't treat nobody different. And when you're that type of person, you're not looking for someone to treat you bad. You're not looking for someone to treat you any kind of way just because they want to. Now, that's not saying that he did not know what it was to see people who are bigoted and people who feel certain type of ways in life. We all understand that to a degree. He understood rap music and all those different things. We all understand that to a degree. But when sis say that street knowledge, having street knowledge of knowing what people do out here in these streets in the United States of America, he didn't have that. Maybe Andrew Anthony had a little bit of it from back in the day, but that man was far removed from that. And so when you're living a lifestyle that you're building for your family, and that lifestyle is of peace and tranquility and treating people like you want to be treated, as the scriptures say we're supposed to do, you're not thinking about that. And then here come along these people who are being taught by their parents to do otherwise and not treat people the way you want to be treated, bullying folks and all this. You're not ready for that. And on his way to go stretch, then someone that's supposed to be his friend tell him to come sit down, and now his whole life has turned because he did choose to come sit down. That's what we're dealing with. I chose to sit down with someone and dap someone up and talk to someone that I thought was my friend all this time, that's supposed to be a play cousin, play brother, or whatever, to my girlfriend. And I'm up under here talking to that person, sitting with that person. And then all of a sudden, my life changes forever because these twins that's known to be bullies, allegedly, have been over here on this tear, and their friends come along with my supposed to be friend, Eddie. And all of a sudden, my life has changed because these people are accosting me, abusing me, treating me bad, all within this moment that I'm supposed to be at. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting being told that, hey, you just did this. Hey, this is what happened. And this is from a coach that I trust, because this is the coach he ran to. So if I run to you and I'm seeking safety, and now you're the one telling me that, bro, hey, this is what you did, and this is what's going to happen to your life. That's why he told that cop that I'm not alleged. I did it. He didn't know what he did. He just knew that he did it because the coach said he did it. And so people have to put that in context, that this is a young man caught up again in this system that has been a overbearing system to a lot of us. As sis said, if she would just known to say they jumped me first, her situation would have turned different. If I would have just known to just shut my mouth, my situation would have turned out differently. And so it's a moment to where those are the things that we're not privy to as Black people, because most of the time we're just living in peace. Right. We're just living our life until, as Andrew Anthony put it, until the devil comes knocking at your door. What you gonna do? Exactly. Because no one prepped you for that.
Exactly. Now, I know you are, I'm going to skip some stuff because I want to jump right to this, because I see you guys' comments. I'm going to let you answer this because you probably said it again, but everybody don't watch every video. Tell me about the situation with you in the beginning, trying to help this family and being blocked, and someone, and you can say who she is, this person stepping in, pretty much making sure you don't have any contact with this family, because you knew in the beginning stages that this attorney was not going to be a good attorney for this family. And I also want people to understand this, because this family moved from Louisiana to Texas to have a better life for their family. They don't know a lot of what's going on in Texas. I see somebody put in the chat, they moved to that area. Yeah, probably not, obviously not knowing, that this would happen. So when you're new to an area, you're new to the area. You don't know anything about lawyers. You haven't heard anything about lawyers because you don't live there. So it would have been very easy to make a bad decision as it relates to an attorney. But can you tell us what happened in the beginning when you tried to reach out to them?
Correct. I tried myself and a couple of others. We tried to reach out to the family directly through Tiffany McAdoo Billions, because she was supposed to be the main advocate of all of us advocating in that moment. So this would be probably around maybe late July, August, that I was trying to reach out to the family. I did it also through trying to reach out through their social medias, and only Andrew, I reached out to him, Andrew Anthony, through Facebook, through Instagram later, through TikTok as well, through my old accounts before they banned them. All those things I was trying. I was trying my best through Zoom calls, through group conversations we had, and all along, Tiffany Billions was telling me, yes, I'm gonna let them know. Yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I find out here recently that she was actually using her setting me up to be arrested, and she actually used the same investigator, Deputy Ken Adams, to actually show it to Andrew Anthony and say, yeah, you can't trust him. Look what he got himself into. See what his life is about. And she was actively trying to keep me away from the family, and did. And that's the reason why Andrew Anthony said in his press conference that he and his wife after the fact, he said, I wish I would have went rogue and spoke to those people that they were blocking me and said I shouldn't have spoke to, because he now know what we were saying was true. I said 30 years. Judge Roach gave him 5 more. And that's what we were saying back then. We knew, we had it on good authority that this man was not, and I'm speaking of Mike Howard, was not going to do anything as far as the defense for Carmelo. And we even broke it down to the point to where we had people, myself and others, that were ready to draft all of the motions that was needed to get this thing dismissed. We were going to pay out of our own pockets together and hire an attorney to go in and argue on Carmelo's behalf, to go in there and get this thing dismissed, because we saw the play and we knew the play. And I even know the play even more now of what they've done in not only Texas, but most of these red states to get us into a place that Carmelo was in. But yes, we tried. And Tiffany McAdoo Billions blocked not only us from getting that information to the family, she also blocked a young lady that had her company. The place she worked was going to hire Drew Anthony to do the same work that he was doing with the dealerships, being the financial manager. But he was going to be able to do it from home, making the same money. He would have skipped a beat. And Tiffany Billions had that woman information, talked to her and said, yes, I'm going to give it to her. I'm texting them right now, is what she said in the Zoom. And don't you know she blocked that woman right after that and made sure that woman was nowhere to be found, and told the family this woman can't be trusted and don't never talk to her. This is what Tiffany McAdoo Billions did. And this is in the beginning. This is last year in 2025. When we were all advocating and trying to get the footing. And this may have been the time before he even got, maybe before he even got indicted, when that happened with that situation, with the job. When I was going and harping on my moment, it was before he got indicted and right up to the point of him getting indicted, that we were talking about getting rid of Mike Howard and trying to get this case disposed of. And so she, even to this day, still trying. And I don't think she talks to the family like that anymore, because I'm pretty sure they're wiser to her now. But she's still out there grifting and telling lies and spreading lies and misinformation. And people are believing it because people want to believe that she's close to the family like that. They want to believe that she's able to have the ear of the Anthonys. And I'm just going to tell you, the Anthony's not talking to too many folks right now because their legal team is telling them not to. And so for those, yeah, and because he's on the pill, so he shouldn't be talking to nobody, me or nobody, because they need to be close to the cuff of exactly the information that's going in and coming out for him during this appeal process. But these people are still out there grifting. They're still out there telling folks that Judge Roach all of a sudden is in Dallas County overseeing John Wiley Price's civil case, so they can say he's close to the Dallas area. So when his appeal goes through Dallas, through the Fifth Circuit of Appeals, he's going to have his hands in it. These people are sick, and it's Tiffany Billions and her people are the main ones that are spreading that misinformation out there.
There was also something that I don't remember the exact verbiage that you use, but I did hear this not from you. I mean, you were the second person that I heard mention something about this, but the first person, I don't remember their name. You know how you just hear information, you don't remember who said it, but there was something related to removing cameras or something. What could you tell me more about that? Because I've heard it from someone else, but I didn't know what they were referring to. But then when I heard you say it, I was like, wait a minute, I've heard that information before. What is that all about with the removing of the cameras?
Yeah, Tiffany Billions and Sarah Fields, as we know, they fake fight online on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else, TikTok. Um, there was also this guy named Mark Zuckerich. They call him ZR1 on TikTok. He was probably one of the first ones to come out and speak originally last year about Carmelo. In this case, he and his girlfriend at the time were walking, and he was saying he knew the Anthonys and all of this stuff, which he does. He know of them because Drew Anthony at the dealership he worked at, they've sold him plenty of cars. And he was in litigation against the dealership because he wanted to return a car that his daughter wouldn't take from him. And he was in litigation about it. So what he was doing is he was trying to get close to the family to get Carmelo on record of this case. And Drew Anthony wisely did not do it. And so in that, Tiffany Billions was also trying to get Carmelo on record and rolling and doing the things she was doing. So these people going back and forth, creating all this atmosphere of people doxing folks, all this other drama. When we got close to the end of the year, it was really nothing going on with this case, but coming to the end of the year, going to the new year, Tiffany Billions decided that she was going to go and file a civil, a TPO, a temporary restraining order onto Mark Zuckerich, saying that he threatened her life. And basically what happened is that she went after him, he came after her, and it should have ended at that point in time. But she decided to take this before Judge Roach and saying that this man had a bounty out for her life, that he was threatening other Carmelo Anthony and the Anthony family's life and all this stuff in front of Judge Roach as a civil matter. And so this was right during the time that Judge Roach had already made a statement that he was making the decision of how it would look to have cameras inside of the courtroom. So he was already drafting what that looked like toward November, December of last year. Tiffany Billions went into this man's courtroom and told him that all of the Anthony family and the Anthony family supporters are under constant life threat from this man and others on that side. So guess what Judge Roach did? He basically told her, you don't have enough evidence because you didn't bring it. She did it on purpose because she had it. People gave it to her. And she just came out of that courtroom, left it in front of that man. And probably a month or two later, that man went ahead and ruled that there was going to be no cameras in the courtroom because of the online and the constant threats to the family and others and witnesses. All this stuff was brought to him by Tiffany Billions. He wouldn't have known.
And when you say the judge ruled on that, because I mean, was he ruling on it, do you know, for the safety of everybody, or is he saying because of the Metcalf family?
No, he was saying because of everyone. But here's the thing. He wouldn't have known anything about anything unless Tiffany Billions was sending it to him. She had did campaigns to send emails to the court saying that there was threats by Sarah Fields and Dallas lady Kelly Fletcher and all these people to the Anthony family and people like myself and others who supported Carmelo, which was not true. People were spitboxing and going back and forth, and yeah, there were threats, but it wasn't threats on that level. It was threats outside of that. And so Tiffany was making it she was making it her business to make the court aware that there were threats to the Anthony family and people who were directly advocating for him, and that these were life threats. And he didn't answer those at first until she filed her restraining order request. And she went in there. She didn't want a restraining order because if she did, she would have got it if she took the right information. But she didn't. She did it on purpose. And she just went in there just to make him aware. And he changed course because he was going to let the cameras come into the room because he wanted to write a book. So he wanted what he was going to do to be televised, live and in color. And he didn't because of what Tiffany did. I'm the one that spoke about it. People repeated it. But this is what I know to be true because I watched her do it. I was in the Zoom calls when she was talking about doing it. Hey, people do this, do that because they need to know that they doing this and they doing that. That was all Tiffany Billions. It wasn't Sarah Fields. Sarah Fields wasn't going over to Judge Roach's office saying, hey, Tiffany Billions, them threatening the Metcalfs. She didn't do that. That was all Tiffany Billions. So what he said is that for the interest of the safety of the Metcalfs, the Anthonys, and all the people that's coming, he's not going to have no cameras in there. He even took away the auxiliary rooms when it was time for the trial because he wanted to limit how many people were in the courtroom. All because of Tiffany. This is her work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're saying basically you're thinking that this was just her strategy. This is what she did purposefully, is what you're saying.
Correct. And because it fits in line with everything that we know to be true from the Metcalfs, from Sarah Fields, and all those people who have worked in conjunction to try to derail the Anthony family from seeking justice for their son. When it came to the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞, when it came to all these things, they were doing everything to derail. Everything that she's done. Now that I look back at it in hindsight 2020 and go back over the receipts and everything, everything she did, every move she made was to derail this family. It was to keep the right people away from them. It was to sabotage certain things. She took over the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 and started making it. We would probably spend 5-10 minutes raising money. After that, she would start cussing out somebody and talking about somebody's family and their mama and everybody else instead of the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞. And this was on those Sundays of 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 Sundays. This is what she did for months. And so it's a moment to where it was toxic, it was unnecessary, and it was done intentionally, because now you see the play. We know that she and Sarah worked together in conjunction because they did it on my case. They did it on the case with Himothy, and they've done it on several other things that we have ties to, and we can show it that they were working together. Even though publicly they always say that they don't like each other. But guess what? Based on what they're alleging, Tiffany could have had Sarah locked up and Sarah could have had Tiffany locked up. But both of them are free right now, right? Both of them are still walking and spitboxing online. But Tiffany's claimed to have information that she could have Jeff Metcalf locked up for terroristic threats against the Anthony family. She told us that in the Zooms and on the live. But is he locked up? No. Because it was on purpose, because she know all the people, and she was working all alone to get the Anthony family in the position that they're in right now.
Because you said, and I remember what you stated, but I don't want to go into your personal stuff as it relates, because I mean, we don't need to, but there was something that she had did against you. I remember this part. And you stated that the person that she used was tied to Jeff Metcalf.
Correct. That was Wesley Farrell. And that would be the one that's directly in the middle behind the lady. That's Wesley Farrell. Jeff Metcalf is right there. If you're looking at the photo to his left, okay. He is actually tied to Jeff Metcalf in the MAGA Republican Party of North Texas. And if you see, that's an actual campaign party that they had, I think a Christmas party or something a few years back. Tiffany used him to actually swear to get an affidavit to get an arrest warrant from me, which I actually just had that case adjudicated on last Friday. And so we got that taken care of because I wanted to make those records public. So, there's one way to skin a cat when you're dealing with stuff. And so now those records will be public. Anybody can go get them. And hopefully everybody can get all the documentation to show that Miss Tiffany Billions been playing a two-faced game on both sides.
Okay, now that makes sense, because when you sent me those pictures, I had to look at them and remember, like, okay, what did he say? So you're right. The way that Jeff Metcalf, because they do play these games, they'll go online and pretend they don't like each other, because that is so that the public can think that, okay? Because I noticed that. And when you sent me that picture, I was like, well, wait a minute. If he don't like her like that, generally you don't be using the same folks, right? So I said, okay, this is that they're playing. I reached out to her months ago and she never replied. So this is all starting to make sense. Do you know where she came from? And when I say where did she came from, like who referred her to the family, or did she just find out on her own? Do you know where she came from, Tiffany?
I know that she was on Facebook right before this. She doxed that lady, Dallas lady, Kelly Fletcher, on Facebook, put her whole everything out there, her people names, her name, social security numbers, VIN numbers, everything out on Facebook. And so they chased her off of Facebook, got her page banned. And so she came over to TikTok. And when she came, she immediately grabbed hold to this Carmelo Anthony case. And she started chasing the people around that were boots on the ground at the bond hearing, at the actual press conference. and she started befriending them on TikTok, and she got one of them to give the number to the Anthony's to her. I also got one of them to give them my number as well. And so she was chasing the people around to get her footing and get some validity on this case. And unfortunately, we gave it to her. And some of the people that were boots on the ground that had first contact with the family, they trusted her and gave her that. And that's how she was able to get herself into the footing of this family. Other than that, she wouldn't have had it, because she's known to work against the families that look like us. She's just known to be that way.
And what kind of integrity is she to go on the internet releasing people's public information? I don't like people like that. You know what I mean? That's you don't do stuff like that. Like you don't. That can be online. You know, you can talk about people's records. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You can't be releasing stuff like that. Yeah.
And that's what she did. And the lady, Dallas lady, like she said, she didn't care nothing about her putting her criminal record out there because it was what it was. But when she started releasing her kids, her husband, her VIN numbers, and all that stuff, that's when they chased her off. And we didn't know, because she told us that, oh, this Dallas lady, she put my criminal record on Facebook. And the first thing I said is that it's your criminal record. It's public knowledge. So at the end of the day, who cares? You know, but when it comes to, and we found out later, I found it out when I got this case that I just adjudicated, that from Dallas lady's own mouth, she told us that this is what this lady did to her. And we didn't know it. We went off of what Tiffany said, because she said these white tea people were after her. And that's what we took it as, because she always makes everything militant, make everything about black and white, you know, to keep your purse strings and your emotions going. So you never step back to think logically, wait a minute, what does 1 and 2 has to do with 18? And so if you don't ever think of it logically, then you'll just stay down that rabbit hole. And once some of us who start thinking logically was like, wait a minute, this is not adding up. Let me start going back and figure this out. And I start pulling back information. I start pulling back my time, but I was still there because I wanted to be privy. So I know exactly what your plans are. And that's what my angle was. Not just mine, but a couple more people as well. And as we start seeing, then we start documenting. We start trying to reach out to the family and tell them. And again, she was blocking. And it's not like we were getting the information and we keep it to ourselves. No, we were trying to reach directly out to the family. And people who had their number, they were even being blocked from talking to them, because she was making sure she was blocking everybody so she can stay close, so she could see out her part of the plan. And that was to get Carmelo convicted. And that's just bottom line.
So you feel like that her whole being, close to this family, and see, it's, how we kind of think people are like us. I just don't know. It's real creepy ass people out here like this. So I'm just like in my mind, like, okay, so I guess what you're saying is she was working for the Metcalfs. Okay, it's really
because one thing that you'll know is that a person who has been to prison before, that's one of the main things we don't want to see for another person, because we've been there, we've done that, we see what that looks like. And so even our worst enemy, we don't want them to go to jail. We might want to put hands on them, but we don't want them to go to jail. And so for us to be in a position to advocate for this family directly, I'm talking about having True Anthony's attention, him coming and being able to hear us in certain ways on the platforms, and sometimes hearing us in conversations and stuff, and knowing exactly what we're doing, you would take that as a moment to where, okay, everything is on the up and up. But when you start saying stuff that you know to be true, and that, hey, we can keep your baby from even going to prison, then you would think that would be the first thing that the advocates would want to do, because you don't want them to even have to go to the courtroom to where you're leaving your life in the balance of 12 people that you don't know. And she blocked every opportunity to get this thing dismissed before the indictment and even after the indictment. Because remember, his charge was a 1-page, 2-sentence indictment. If you look at my indictment, which is a state jail felony, mine was a long paragraph.
Right.
His was just 2 sentences. And so it was a weak case from the beginning. And we were trying to do everything we could to get it dismissed, but she was doing everything she could to make sure it went to trial, and told us as much. No, it has to go to trial so he can get get this thing, he can get a finite victory, and he won't have to worry about them ever charging him again. That's craziness. When his own attorney, Mike Howard, had a video saying, if your attorney don't get your case dismissed before trial, find you another one.
Right.
Fire him. Find another one. And so not only her, but other people that she knew, that she had also speaking for her, that's supposed to be paralegals, they were saying the same thing. Oh no, it needs to go to trial so we can figure out whatever. They were saying that because they knew they had to get him to where the fight was fixed, and that he would get this conviction and he would be in prison. They knew what was going on.
Right. Right. Okay. I see you guys as super chats. We'll answer those a little bit later. I want to ask you this question. I don't know if you saw it. I actually just saw it, and I did a video on it yesterday. Now, we ain't heard nothing from old Mike Howard, but he decides to speak with TMZ, and he goes on to say that I was really irritated by what he said, because he said, I think that he does. I mean, what do you mean you think? So he stated that he thought that Carmelo felt remorse. And then he goes on to say, but we really wasn't able to see it because he never took the stand. I just didn't like the comments that he made, because if we know Carmelo didn't take the stand, you were his attorney. So if he did not take the stand, he didn't take it based on what you told him. So, you know what I mean? And then when TMZ went to ask him, well, did you tell him not to take the stand? He says, oh, well, that's attorney-client privilege. I can't talk about it. I feel like it's attorney-client privilege with you making statements saying you think that he feels remorseful. Then he says, I believe that Carmelo thought he was acting in self-defense. And I'm just like, these people don't shut up.
Yeah, but he's working the company line. He's towing the company line. And I told people, and I keep telling people, Mike Howard came on this case when he got hired, and his intent was to work and get this case dismissed, because that's what he's known for. And he came on, he did an excellent job at the bond hearing, got it down to 250 so he can get bonded out. The no limit bonds bonded him out, got him up out of there. Shout out to Pastor Tooney. And after they did all of that, he had a meeting at Collin County Courthouse with DA Willis. And when they had that meeting, it probably was about a week or two later. After that, his whole attitude changed. Everything about him changed. He never did any pre-trial motions to try to get this thing dismissed, try to get evidence thrown out. He didn't do none of that. He did all these subpoenas. None of them was ever returned. None of them. Now, on the appeal, they already put out some subpoenas, and within a day or two, they were returned. All the subpoenas, I think if I'm not mistaken, all of the subpoenas that Mike Howard put out, none of them were ever returned. None. And so it's like, you didn't do anything to try to defend this young man, but you have the caucasity to get up on TMZ and speak and say that you think. No, you're his attorney. You're supposed to know. You're supposed to know where your client was. You're supposed to knew what your client was feeling and what he had going. And you knew from just Cal Rittenhouse, from George Zimmerman, from all these cases that dealt with stand your ground self-defense in these red states, that you have to take the stand and explain the moment that you fear for your life, so you can justify using your self-defense. He knew that. It was no option for Carmelo to say that he don't want to take the stand, because he had to show that he was fearful of his life in that moment, if that's what really happened. My thing is, they didn't want Carmelo to take the stand because I don't believe Carmelo can tell them what happened. I don't think Carmelo can actually fix in his mind to say that this, and this happened. Only thing Carmelo knew is that he was trying to fight to get back up out of there with his life. I think that's all he knew.
But you know what, though? I had some attorneys come on. I'm forgetting. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but they specialize in murder cases. And one of the things they said, the issue with this case, it was multiple issues, but they said whenever it's a self-defense case, you must take the stand. Let me tell you why he said that. And I said, you know what? This makes sense. if you're claiming self-defense, you need to be able to tell the juror why you felt like your life was in jeopardy. Nobody else can tell that. So although Carmelo ran off and didn't see whatever, he ran for a reason. What was the reason? What was he thinking in his mind? You know what I mean? All of that would have helped. They painted him as a monster. This is a kid that says, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Come on.
Well, I'm going to tell you the reason why he could not take the stand from the conspiracy standpoint of this moment of knowing that they all were working together to put him in prison is because if Carmelo took that stand, he was going to say how scared he was. He was going to tell you how they assaulted him, how they held him, how they choked him. He's going to tell you all these things, how they hit him, how they punched him, how he ran, how he fell, how he got away, how he talked to the coach, how the coach told him all these things. But what he was not going to be able to tell you is when and how Austin Metcalf got stabbed.
Right.
And since he wasn't going to be able to tell you that, and he wasn't going to be able to answer to it, that meant that now the burden shifts to who actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
And where this moment came from. And so that is the reason why Mike Howard went in that room, because they did take a break and they had that conversation. And people who were there said they saw the family visibly crying when they came out that room. And that's when the defense came out and he rested after that. Because he went in there and told him that he don't need to take the stand because he knew the fight was fixed and he knew the fix was in. Right. And he could not have Carmelo testify.
And that's where the problem comes in, because you are hired. You don't rest. First of all, the family, they said they paid for these different specialists to take the stand. None of these people took the stand. You see them? That's not like, that ain't how it works. It don't work like that. He was supposed to meet with the client and say, so that's why I know Mike Howard, listen, I'm going to learn how to take an attorney down because his ass got to go, okay? He got to go. He did this on purpose. There was no mistake about this. The attorneys that I had on my show said, look, I don't like to get in other attorney business, but I'll tell you this. This is what they said. It's either incompetence or he did it on purpose. Now, when you talk about incompetence, you made a mistake, right? But you're going to continue to make a mistake and can't continue. No, you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
There was no way that this guy made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Then, you know, because I wanted them to talk about the appeal process. Now, although he has so many different ways to appeal, God was even on his side in this case when they was working against him, because this idiot attorney never really objected to anything. Now, the issue with that is if the attorney doesn't object, it creates a problem, because if the lawyer doesn't object, then how do you appeal it when he never objected it in court? Luckily, though, when it came to these jurors, this idiot objected. So I don't believe that this attorney was ever on Carmelo's side. Now, this is something else I've been telling my audience. When I said that I don't believe Carmelo did it, it was simply, let me tell you what it started with. It started with the video, and I'm thinking we're going to see what happened. When I did not see Carmelo complete any kind of act, and it seemed like he wasn't the one that did it, I knew right away. I said, I don't believe he did this. One other thing that people pointed out, I'm going to put it on the screen. You can see it or you cannot. Why the hell does this date say February 10th, 2016? That's what it says right there. What is that all about?
Well, a lot of times it can be one of several things. A lot of times those body cams have not been recalibrated correctly, and so they will read a wrong date. Sometimes the wrong date comes because you're editing. So when you've edited something, as in the video that people went to go see at Frisco ISD, it was condensed down to 11 minutes of relevant video, and so it actually has two timestamps, one to the left, one to the right. One is the normal timestamp. The other one is the editing timestamp. And they actually let you know when you went to go see it that, hey, there's two different timestamps. This is this one. This is this one. So a lot of times when editing happens, you do get that. And so I believe that body cam has been edited. We'll know once we get the full body cam, because I do myself and others have the FOIA request in for the unedited versions of all body cams. You notice the young lady, when she came, she actually had hers on, then cut it off. And that's what you see from the footage that they have. And so, in those, or you have a moment to where the editing process is showing you from a date that they merged together in editing, or whatever editing software they were using, or it's just an error in their editing process. Either way, it should have never been edited for it to have that problem.
Now, I got a question, because I get like request stuff from, the police all the time. I hear you say you put in a request. That stuff should take a couple of days, 3 days at most. When did you put your request in?
I put my FOIA request in back early for all of this, so that would be April and May. Of last year. So we actually got it all put on hold. They sent up for an opinion of the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, and he made a determination that with the videos, the body cam, the ME, the toxicology report, and several other things that we needed, that we could not have that stuff because it was an ongoing investigation at the time. He hadn't been indicted. Once it got to the prosecutor to seek indictment, at that point they said the same thing, that it's still under investigation. Once he was indicted, they said the same thing, that the trial had not happened yet. It was still under investigation. After it was adjudicated and he's been sentenced and he's gone, he's serving his time, the AG hasn't said anything else yet. But what the entities did, Frisco ISD, PD, ME's office, all those people, they relied on his old rulings and said, we can't give it to you based on this. So myself and others, we've already sent our emails of appeal to the AG's office, letting them know that they're relying on your old ruling. Could you please do what's right? And if you don't, then we have to sue. But also, I read in one of his rulings that it said that because of investigation purposes, they can't do it. But it had an actual paragraph in there that said that this stuff is permanently banned, or whatever the case may be. I also point that out to the Attorney General, that he doesn't first have the authority to permanently delete, ban, or restrict anything that's not owned by the state of Texas, period. That's the first part. Second, nothing in the laws of federal side or the state side said that you can actually permanently ban a public record, because it's public record owned by the public. And so we're waiting on those answers. It normally takes in between 30 to 60 days for you to get that response from the Attorney General's office in these type of matters. And we're probably two weeks in from that moment. And so we just have to wait and see what he says. But he has made no new rulings since last year.
I can tell you this, Dwayne, is some bullshit, because I have followed where they are investigating, and they tell you you can't have it because we're investigating. But what they will do is, once they tell you that and you submit your request, they will go back and fill your old request, because the last thing they told you was you could not get it. Now, there have been a couple of times where I've been told you can't get it. It's an investigation. And then I see it released to the blogs, and I go back to them and say, wait a minute, you told me. And then they'll say, yeah, it was just released. But all of this long-winded debate, that is bullshit. They are too.
It is. And the thing is that we know that, but that's where we are. And so we have to wait on that process. And because we have been pushing, that's the reason why the court sent everything that they had, because he didn't intend to do that either. But he had no choice, because the courts usually release everything from the courtroom at least within 7 business days from when a case is adjudicated. So he had to release everything. With the other stuff, now, let's be honest, I have received a lot of information from this case while things were being investigated. I have it at home. So we have received some things we haven't. But the things that showed that Carmelo shouldn't have never been charged, those are the things that's been blocked. And just be honest about it. So the original videos, the body cam, the ME report showing exactly what was going on with Austin Metcalf. We also have to remember Jeff Metcalf told us himself on his Beyonce World Internet Tour on TikTok. He said that he actually ordered a second toxicology report because he didn't like the one that the first one, what it said the first place. And so there's two toxicology reports out there. One that's done by the county of Collin County, the city of whoever did it. And then you have one that Jeff paid for privately to have done as well. So you got two of them. So both of those are now public record. So we want to get both. And so that's what we're waiting on. We're just waiting on that process of those things to happen. And if they want to act stupid, then we sue and we get that information and we get money with it.
I'm glad you said that because there's I have a twofold statement, question, whatever you want to call it. Listen, I'm not an attorney, but I knew if I was, I would be a cold ass attorney. I would be something like I had on the show, honey, because they ain't nothing to play with. The not guilty boys, don't follow them. But listen, this is what I would have did. Okay, for one, first of all, we have not saw this boy's autopsy. I get them all the time. Why do you think this is being blocked? I mean, you said that Carmelo, cut him up. And why do you think we can't see it? Again, that is to me showing that they are hiding evidence. Why is this being blocked?
Well, I'll say allegedly, a lot of the kids in the area that day said that Austin had taken steroids and other things. So that morning, while they were there at the stadium, they saw him popping pills. And so we knew from the beginning, from the streets, from kids there on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of April of 2025, said that there was going to be something in his system. We knew that he was juicing to build up his body. That's something that's a known fact to the Frisco and surrounding areas. That's what Austin does. He's the bigger of the twins. He had a little bit more bulk than Hunter did, and so he juiced a lot. I'm pretty sure Hunter was doing it too, but he was the lazy one of the twins. Austin was more the go-getter when they came to working out, and so I know that he would show whatever it is that he was working and doing and using. It would be in his toxicology report. Jeff knows that as well. The Collin County DA knows that as well, and the Frisco PD knew that as well. And so that's why they fought so hard to not let the ME report comes out. I was waiting on mine when they were doing it. I was told it was ready, so I was expecting for mine to come. And that's when they sent it up to the AG's office to block it, saying because of the investigation. Now, we did get a what you call a release or a leak of the ME report online back then, last year. And usually that's what happens when the AG comes and block it, because MEs want their information out. They do the work. They want the public to see it. And usually someone will leak it from their office and give you that information with a wrong date, wrong name, wrong something. We've also got that same leak again this year because, again, the case is over and no one still has the ME report. They haven't even responded to say whether they're going to give it to us or not. And I clearly stated on my email, because they asked you, do you want this to be closed now, or do you want to wait for when it's over and we'll send you the files? I said, I'm going to wait and I'll get my files when it's over. They haven't even responded to my email asking where are my files. So that lets you know that it's a concerted effort to keep that information out the public space. But somebody at the ME's department, like they do all across this country, when you don't let their work come out, they're going to leak it. And so probably in those two leaks, it's probably about 90% of the story being told of what was in that boy's system and what was going on.
Okay, I love that you stated that, because somebody reached out to you that followed me and they did say that you said that. And what I was trying to get them to understand is I receive emails from people all the time. And a lot of times these folks don't even, they tell you their real name. Now, I would never come on here and say, this person said this, but you almost can tell that they are telling on these folks, because because they may work there, that does not mean that they agree with what is going on.
Correct.
They are saying that this, so he got it's just so many things that we just need to see the autopsy to make a conclusion as to what really happened to him. But the fact of the matter is that how is it sealed and somebody is in prison? What I don't understand.
That's the crazy part, is that once a case is adjudicated, everything is unsealed. And that's normal practice across this country, because it's over with. Now it's time to litigate. To use the excuse on either side to say that it's an appeal going on, so it's got to be sealed, or to use it that there's information we got to save. Look, every kid that testified, their identity was already given up when they came to testify. And I tell people all the time, there is no rule of anonymity for anyone that is a amateur athlete in this country. When you sign up in middle school, high school, and even Pop Warner Pee Wee football and basketball and everything else, you lose the right of privacy because you become what they call an amateur athlete. If you're able to get NIL deals, if you're able to get a scholarship, if you're able to do any of those things, you have now lost the anonymity of an actual young person that would have those protections, because you are now a amateur athlete. And so none of those kids out there in a public space, they did not enjoy any kind of privacy, none. Yet we still gave it to them, even though we knew their names, we knew where they came from, we knew their parents' information. We still gave it to them because you respect who they are. But when you're in these type of situations and the case has been adjudicated, all that information is public information because it's a trial paid for by the public, paid for by tax dollars, county, city, state, and federal. Everybody is privy and should be privy to that information after the fact, if not between the fact.
Exactly. And when you look at the video as the one that I have on the screen, that's why I love my Black people, because one thing we gonna do is figure it out, and we don't give a damn what you say. We gonna figure it out. Now listen, as you see, they went to each and every person's face and put something on their face so that you would not see who they are. So this tells you they saw the video. But what the good old Black folks do, because this is what we do, we identified Carmelo right there. You see where that circle is? You sent me this.
Yes, yes.
Right, that is Carmelo. Is he not surrounded by people?
He's surrounded and he's in a headlock at that point. And so because it's enhanced, you're kind of seeing the mesh of the AI software that kind of put everything together. But you can still see that on the right, you can see this big old individual it's not Austin. It's another kid. You see another kid right there off to the bottom right of him. You see someone standing to the top left, and you see someone over to his immediate left that's kind of out the scene. And here's our sis down there in the yellow poncho. That's always in all the scenes. You see her down there at the bottom. They get sumo kicked later on by Austin when he comes down. But you can clearly see that they tried to edit out Carmelo in the gray, knowing that he's the only gray thing that's sitting there. And it actually puts some gray on the person that's sitting there up toward the top, because they tried their best to edit it out and they couldn't. And even taking some poles off of the canopy on the right when they edited it out. But you cannot outdo Black folk when you give us the information, because we're going to go find it. We knows it by nature. We're going to find it. Yeah.
That's what I said. I said, it's so crazy because everything that they tried backfired. We invented every damn thing you see in the world. Do you really think you can give us partial information and give us a bullshit story? Give us partial information and a bullshit story. We're going to tell you the entire story from start to finish. I don't know what these folks thought they were doing here. Another thing now, based on obviously you saw the unedited video, and I'm sure I asked you this already, but I don't remember. Your video that you saw when you went to Frisco ISD, was that, because I believe you said this, was this a different camera that you saw?
This camera is actually I think they were identified as West and East. So I'll go with that. So the one that you're looking at that angle would be the East camera. The other one that you saw Carmelo walk up will be the West camera. And so that means that they are sitting there on the north side, which would be the visitor side, and the south side would be the home side where the cameras are. Is basically what they're identifying the way the stadium is sitting. So when we saw it, or when I saw it, you can see the different angles. You can see the different moments of what is going on from different cameras, because there's several cameras. They're not just one. So the walk up that they did coming out the gate, and you seen Austin with a set of boys, and then you see Hunter with a set of boys. That's a whole different camera. It's not the same camera. They just meshed that together and made it as one camera. Because the one on the east is a fixed camera. So they're just zooming to the side and in and out and all that good stuff. You have a 50-yard camera, which is a motion camera that actually follows motion. So when you kick the ball, it'll watch it go into the uprights. When somebody's running, from one end zone to the next, the camera will follow them and show you them score, or it'll follow someone running around the track as well. It's a motion camera. And then you have the other camera on the west side, which the one you saw Carmelo walk up with, and they just kind of made all that one moment for the court. That's not what they showed at Frisco ISD. Frisco ISD, you pretty much see the fixed angle from the east camera, and that's the one that's showing the actual incident of the circumstance with Carmelo, the assault on Carmelo.
Okay. So I just want to make sure we're clear. Based on what you saw, though, you feel like there was a fight, right? There was a fight, correct?
There was a fight after Carmelo. Carmelo never fought. So
Right.
Carmelo was assaulted and attacked.
Right.
He got out, and there was a fight in between them. And that's
Okay.
when Austin got stabbed. Because it's
Gotcha.
clear from their own video. So I'm just going to go and say that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
What is we've watched the video, the edited. What is your take on this I call it the trash can action. What is your take on that? And that is basically the ones that may not know what I'm talking about. Let me just
tent, they're still tussling.
I'm sorry, guys. Let me show you guys
That's okay.
what I'm talking about here.
It was very quick.
Tell him Melo's already dipped up a couple steps.
See? And then it looks like Austin and the girl in the yellow poncho fell. He's long gone.
Can you zoom in more under the tent to show them where Melo steps up before they go pushing each other?
Yes, I got you.
I'm trying to talk while you're doing this. I'm just asking.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm sorry. I keep pressing the pause button. Okay, here we go. Is this 222? Okay, 221, right here. So he's...
Look how many steps he's up, Chris, already.
And they were still tussling underneath this tent while he's
Went up
been
5
gone.
steps. He went up 5 steps, y'all. Look. Oh!
Yeah, and if you can see toward the bottom,
Yes.
while
And
they keep rewinding, you can see where this young man kind of dips out, kind of leans down a little bit, and he runs to the trash can, and he clearly puts something in it, and then he runs back again. And so you have him, you have another young man that actually went to the trash can as well, and then you have another young man still on the top of the bleachers that actually, once they start walking Carmelo across, the coach was, you can see him actually come and stand by the trash can, and you see another guy that's underneath, that's down the field. He's actually directing him, and it's almost like they hand each other something as well. But then you also see the other guy that's on the top pick up the trash can, reach down in it, and put something in his pocket. And then he waits for it to be clear. He walks away briskly, and then he just takes off running. And so it is clearly something that right here, you can see the young man right here. Carmelo comes down, watch him go to the trash can. He doesn't knock it over, but he puts something in it. But then there's another guy that comes behind him that puts something in and he knocks it over.
Right.
And so it's two people that put something in it. And then the third one comes, and with another guy on the track, they actually do something, transact, talk, and they pick it up. And then he takes off with whatever it is that they took out of it.
All right. This school really need to close down. I mean, when watching this, I was just not like, wow. This is clearly something. I don't know if they planned it, but they knew what to do in that particular, why it was going on, because I feel like they felt like they had effed up and they were going to blame him. But it almost make you wonder, did y'all plan this? Because how did y'all react like this with just, how many times have y'all did this? Like, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, and just from watching and looking and researching and knowing the stuff that I know, this was planned. It was planned because no one talked about the young man Adrian, and I'll say the name because that's what he had on Snapchat. He made a 6-second video that said 2 minutes prior or 2 minutes before, and this was right before the whole incident happened with Carmelo. And that's where a lot of people online last year were showing Carmelo sitting back, and it was like 3 or 4 people sitting in the back of the canopy. They were showing that based on this young man's actual footage. So when people are looking at this moment, when Carmelo is sitting right before those boys come or right when they come, it's an individual that's walking down and coming into the canopy. That's Adrian. That's the young person that videoed this from Snapchat, and also the same person that videoed the whole thing, and that people were able to look at a disappearing link that was on Reddit, and it was on Snapchat for a while, and people were viewing it and able to see it. I've talked to a couple of people that saw it, and it just disappeared before they can actually record it and prove that they saw it. But what they said they saw was the same thing we saw, just from a close angle, and it had sound. So they can hear everything that was going on. So you had Adrian that recorded, you had Edwin Parra that recorded it. He still got the recording. I know they say that he fake recorded, but no one ever fakes record. So he still has it, and it's a couple more people that recorded that have it, because it was a setup event. And you can tell by the people that were walking by, some of them were peeking in, looking, and like, yeah, they got him, and they were going about their business. It was not a moment to where anyone set up and stood up and said, hey, why y'all mess with him like that? It was only one person that testified, and that spoke on that. And it was somebody that was they were on the field, and they said that they were looking like, does he need our help? What's going on? What they doing to him? But they never made the move to go over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, my next question, because what you're saying, it makes sense. Like I said, it sometimes it's hard for people to think like me. It's hard for me to even understand that people are really that messed up. Because I said, if I made a mistake like that, I would just have to own it, because I would not be able to live with myself knowing that, I done unalived somebody I love, and then I'm lying about it. You know what I mean? So I don't.
Yeah.
Crazy. I feel like at some point Hunter is going to lose it, because I don't know how you living like this. And you're not only how are you living like this, you're injecting all of this hate towards somebody that I really don't believe that done it. And it's so much information that's coming out about Hunter. Let's just go there. What is this thing that people are saying that he is now dating his brother's ex-girlfriend? People said that he done moved in or something like that. Now, do you know anything about that? Now, recently his mother went over there on, I think it was TikTok, making a joke about how her sons dated the same girl. And I'm just like, lady, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, they in the beginning, when all this happened, as you know, they were going to be starting to get ready for prom. So they had already had their plans, had their suits, had everything ready. When Austin learned that he needed to keep his hands to himself and he's not here no more, Hunter took his brother's girlfriend to prom, started driving his brother's truck. Yeah, he did that right after he was gone. Bye-bye. He started driving his truck, took his girlfriend, his brother's girlfriend, to prom. And then after that, they started dating, pretty much is what the consensus is. Based on his mom and his dad can't keep their mouth closed, this boy got mad at somebody at the house, and he went to go stay with Austin's girlfriend. And it's like, what are we doing here? So my thing is that they were already sharing, to me, because that's just too comfortable. And so but that just shows you their mentality, and that this was a moment of come up. This was a moment to where I truly believe that Jeff and Megan really thought that it should have been Hunter instead of Austin, because I think Austin was the favorite boy. And so the way that Jeff Metcalf looked at Hunter when he was on that interview and that guy said, "There's Hunter," that man stopped everything he was doing and gave him the death stare. The way that Megan rolled her eyes at Hunter during the press conference after the sentencing, and they did that press conference inside the court, she was staring at Hunter and rolling her eyes at that boy. I guess she just didn't know she was doing it. Yeah. And so this is the moment that is just a reality that these folks are grifting. But I do know this, because it was told to me here recently, that Hunter is spiraling. Hunter can't live with himself because he knows the truth. And they're trying their best to keep him busy. They getting him, he didn't been dipped in the water so many times at church. He's around all these people. They're supposed to be praying for him in all these different groups. But guess what? You can't run from your own sins when you've created them. You can't run from your own nightmare that you star in. And so it's always going to be hunting you. And people have to remember John 10:10 in the Bible that everybody want to be talking about. They read and they learn and they live by. It said the thief comes but to kill, steal, and destroy. Let's stop there. We ain't going to talk about what Jesus said after that. But that's all they know. And since that's all you know, that's where you're going to live. And you have to be in that torment of that moment. And that's what's happening to him. That's what's happening right now to Eddie Poirot. That's what's happening right now to all those kids that testified. And they know they testified on what happened that day. All of them right now are not in peace. Even the young man that took the scholarship, the first memorial scholarship fund from Austin Metcalf from Hope Fellowship Church. Him and his mama on there talking about how she been traveling and don't get mad at her because her life is better and she can go move. They're even in torment right now because they got to live with that. You took blood money in order for you to help them get Carmelo convicted.
Right.
So you got to live in that.
Listen, let me just tell y'all this. I said, these folks is dumb. For one, just think about it like this. You tried to do something to him and you did it to your brother, because I really believe that Hunter did it. That's just my belief. Now I can say what I believe. That's what I believe. So in doing that, I would have been like, oh, I mean, I'm going to get my life together. But y'all keep going on. You got now the world who's standing on business for Carmelo. You're going to reap what you sow. That's what I believe. I don't wish nothing bad on anybody, but I feel like you reap what you sow, and all of this nasty energy that this man, the father, look like he do alcohol. That's just my thoughts. I can think however I want. It look like he is in love with the bottle. He say he a Christian. Yes, his bottle is the pastor, but you know, you went on these platforms and you're spewing hate after hate after hate. You got him in prison for 35 years. I mean, I would move on. You know, you're still going. So I don't see anything good coming toward that family. I just don't. Now, what do you think about this right here?
Yeah.
Who is
That
it?
look like Eddie.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. This
Looks like Eddie.
And why would he be taking his pants off?
Exactly.
You know, in this one, and that's what I'm saying, this story gets more interesting and more interesting. Why? Now, I get it. Kids do change at the track meet, but this is giving, you're trying to take off them clothes. I don't understand this right here. And everybody is saying that this is Eddie. So, you know, Carmelo was arrested, but I don't think he had any blood on him. You know what I mean? So it's just, this whole story is just, to me, I just don't believe that he did it. What is your take on this particular video?
Well, I know I've watched it. I actually have it. A couple people sent it to me. You even have someone that's saying that it's not him. You know, he had on a different uniform. Here's my thing. This is the time that after the alleged stabbing and all that good stuff happened, they were sending all the kids to their buses. And so everyone is going to their bus to go back to school. So there's no need for anyone to be taking off their uniform because you're not about to run. You're about to go get back on the bus and go to school. So you would not be taking off your uniform. you see kids already had their uniform off because they were out there warming up. And so in this instance, if that is Eddie, then he had no need to take off his uniform because he was up under the canopy with the twins. So you shouldn't even be leaving in the first place.
Right.
My thing is this, is that when you look at it in totality, we know that there was so much going on that day. When we look at the evidence again from the prosecution, they have Carmelo's hoodie. It only had a smidget of blood on it. They never tested to see if it was Carmelo's. He had a puncture on his finger. It could have been his. But it was just a smudge, like you do when you wipe across your fabric, and it leaves a mark. It was no, because the coach's hoodie, his coat, had so much on it. Oh, good God, it was a lot. That's probably why it wasn't on the stands. The coach used that to put, Hunter said that his brother died in his arms because he was holding the wound and all that stuff. He lied. The coach is the one that testified, and we have the evidence from the coach that he took his jacket, and he's the one that put his jacket over the wound to keep it from spilling out like it was. So that was the coach, not Hunter. Hunter wasn't nowhere near the moment. But we know that if Carmelo was the one to have stabbed him, he would have the projection of blood onto his hand, the knife, and his clothes. You won't just get a smudge like somebody wiped their finger across. And that's the only blood that was on Carmelo's hoodie. We have the evidence from the prosecution. Right. And so this is just a crazy moment to where all those things the defense should have had in evidence. All those things the defense, before Carmelo even got up to speak, should have already been there to rebut what the scenario was that the prosecution was trying to sell. Because what they were trying to sell was just not factual based on what we see on the video and what we know to be true. And so I feel that Eddie would have been close to this situation because he was up under the canopy. And if anybody had to take off their clothes immediately, would have been Eddie. Because he would have had blood on him. Just like Hunter went to the hospital. Before he came to that interview with his mom on WFAA Channel 8 News that day, he actually changed clothes. He went home with his daddy, took a shower, changed clothes, and came out there with that little collar shirt on he had on, and he gave that first interview on April the 2nd around 3-something in the afternoon. And so that is what the facts are, but we never got those facts because it just became conjecture on TikTok spaces about what was what and what wasn't. And as you said, Megan went on to, I think, 99's panel on TikTok here recently, and she basically just laughed and joked about her sons being bullies and said that's just how they are. That's just how they are. But her son said that his hand is bisexual because he slapped anybody.
Right.
He ain't here no more for that reason.
Right.
Yeah. And so those are the reality. That's the reality of this situation, is that those parents, Frisco ISD, and the greater public around there allowed these boys to be bullies all this time since the 4th grade. And it led us to this moment that we dealt with right now with Carmelo and Austin not being here no more.
Right. And do you feel like that's why Hunter didn't testify? Because let's just be honest. This was your brother. You claim he died in your arms, but yet you didn't testify, which is, I can kind of understand why the prosecution did not call him. But if I was a lawyer, he would have got subpoenaed. You're going to be subpoenaed. And if you don't show up, I'm using it in my closing arguments to call you a liar. But the fact that Carmelo's attorney, well, we know Carmelo's attorney, Mike Howard, was working against him because you had an opportunity to even call like the brother. I mean, you're not even here. You're not even a witness in a situation that you claim your twin brother died in your arms. Why are you not testifying?
Yeah, and the thing is that I believe Mike Howard sent out a subpoena for him to testify. It was unanswered, just like the rest of it. And so they kept him away from the trial for a reason. One, because of his height. The jury would see how big he was and know that Austin was bigger than him. And then 2, because he couldn't testify because he lied so much. And not only did he lie, he would be subject to actually tell what the truth is or have to plead the fifth. And so he wouldn't incriminate himself. And so those were plays that everybody knew. Mike Howard knew, the prosecution knew that they could not have Hunter there, but he sure came in like a whirlwind with his friends when it was time for them to give the victim impact statements. Because I watched them drive in. I watched them get out the car, and I watched him and his friends walk up that building and go inside, because they came just for that. They didn't come in for nothing else. They just came for that because they knew he could be nowhere near to testify. Because if he did, then it threw out everything. Even the jury couldn't overcome that moment of him actually having to tell the truth for once in his life.
Right. One other thing, guys, I need to ask you to do. I need you all to like the video. It's over 2,000 people in here. I need to get 1,000 of you all to like the video. When you like the video, it helps the video move throughout the algorithm. If you are Team Carmelo, we need this evidence to get to everybody. But when you don't like the video, it gets to some people, but not a lot of people. So if you Team Carmelo, I do need you to like the video. Now we're going to get to the super chats in a moment, but you had said, well, because this was a super chat question too, and this was one that I wanted to answer, because I know I heard the mom testify that she got there before the ambulance, but the truth of the story is it appears that the parents were already there based on a situation that had happened earlier with another student, and that would probably ring true. And I don't know if it's true, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, where Jeff Metcalf states that he was there. Can you tell us about that?
Correct. There was that same morning, there was a kid, young lady from Emerson High School, which is one of the Frisco ISD schools. And she was there by herself because there was no one else running that first part of the morning. And so from what I hear is that the twins and their friends were bullying her because they're known to bully the girls. That's just what they like to do. And so they were messing with her, and a lot of the other students stopped them from doing so. And so that was the first disdain they had. But Jeff Metcalf actually said on his Beyonce World Tour on TikTok that he was called by the middle school coach to come to the stadium. That's what he said. He kind of started stuttering because he said it without thinking. And then he was like, yeah, that's how I got there. And so, but he was called there then so he can come address what happened at Emerson High School. I mean, with the Emerson student. They're at the actual tracks at the stadium. So that's why Hunter said that they were coming from the middle school for that reason. Now, with that happening, Megan and Jeff were already there before Austin and Hunter and their friends made that iconic walk to come and meet Carmelo. Hunter even said himself that he called his phone and his mom answered, is what he said, his words, not mine. And so his mom answered because he left his phone in the car, because his mom and them probably told him, hey, allegedly, y'all go get them then. And that's why they were running so quick to come. Megan went to go back to work or head back to work because she worked in Grapevine, Texas. So she had to get to the pizzeria to go over there and work. Jeff just stayed around because Jeff was already there. He didn't have to come and roll and come back again. He was there already. And so these boys came and they walked up in that spot with a purpose. And Jeff then was there because Jeff said it several times. You don't know anything. I know because I was there. He said it three or four times. He corrected it one time and said, well, yeah, my boys told me, so I know. No, you said first person. You said you were there. And so we know you were there because of the way that you can't shut up and you keep talking about this thing in first person, about what you saw, what you witnessed, what you knew. And then you'll talk about what Austin and Hunter said. And so even when the police came, if you had the opportunity to listen to the scanner calls from the dispatch call from the cops themselves and the closed one, they actually kept saying, we're looking for the suspect from Emerson. Mm-hmm. They said, we found the suspect from Emerson. If you look at the SRO officer's body cam, he said that I have the suspect in custody. They went through the whole diatribe. And at the end, when he placed Carmelo in the car, he said, you're from Emerson High School, right? And Carmelo said, no, I'm from Centennial. Even he was trying to place him at Emerson because that's what he kept hearing on the radio. And so everybody believed that was it because they had foreknowledge of what went on earlier that morning. They had foreknowledge of it. And so they all know that these boys were doing what they were doing. They all knew that these boys were bullied because they know Jeff Metcalf to be a bully. Everybody know that in the city. And so with this Emerson young girl and that beginning moment, that's how the parents got there. And that's how Megan was able to beat the ambulance to the hospital, because she was on her way to Grapevine and she just turned around and went there, because there's no way she would have beat them coming from Grapevine from the pizzeria in the morning traffic during a storm. It would have took her almost an hour to get there.
Right. And that's exactly what she said. But she played with the folks that didn't know how far it was away. But she did say Grapevine. I'm not from Texas, so I don't know. But she sat up there and lied because, lady, you were already there. You see what I'm saying? But so that should answer your question. I am _C Brown. Thank you for the $2, $5 to $10 super chat. So that is your question. Dwayne answered it. Dwayne, now I know you heard, or I don't know how you know this information, but we know that even as the Metcalf boys, they're young adults now. They were children, young boys, adolescents, whatever you want to call it, at some point in time. What have you heard about family violence as it relates to the Metcalfs? Because let me just tell you, I'm a good observer of people. And when I hear a man calling a woman bitch's, and I just heard him on, was it TikTok, calling somebody the N-word, I know that you're abusive and you put your hands on women. I know this because I know how people operate. Now, people have said that this man was beating on his wife allegedly when they were married. I have heard that when he received his charge that is allegedly sealed, that he was actually married. But let's just get into this part. And we all see this. She don't like him. We can tell that she does not like him. They don't like each other. I think that whatever happened in their marriage, she can't stand him. I mean, what have you heard about them in terms of whatever violence that you have heard between the two of them?
Well, when we first started on this case and advocating and looking into it, we actually had their divorce moment from Collin County. So we knew that there was domestic violence associated with the divorce decree and what they were arguing, what Megan was arguing for the grounds of divorce. I also know, and I'm actually trying to confirm that with the actual people, but Megan and the twins actually ran away to get away from him because of domestic violence. They actually stayed at a shelter and for a little bit, and that happened a few years ago, probably during that same time of them seeking the divorce when she left them. So this was part of her getaway plan, and then she ended up coming back up this way after the fact. I guess once she got him away or got other people to help her out, she was able to get back up here and pretty much stay away from him. That's when they split the kids. Austin stayed with her, Hunter stayed with him. And so it was kind of that moment. But we had access to it, to it all the way up to this year of just going to Collin County and going to look up their divorce, and you see it. After this trial was over with, D.A. Willis and his people sealed it and cleared it off of the Collin County website. You can't even go pull it up no more. But what you can pull up still is his ex-wife's divorce from him back in 99. And so we get that. But this one you can't even see no more. So they sealed this one just the same as they sealed his criminal record. And then after that, you saw him and Megan get up talking about, oh no, I've never laid hands on Megan. I've never did this. But now you can say that because people can't go and check it. But I guess you didn't think it's a thing called screenshot. I guess you didn't think it was a thing called record. And we can keep that information because we still got it, regardless of what they try to get rid of. That's how we had his background.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that it's sealed because I know people in law enforcement, lawyers that have done the same thing. And guess what they said? The same thing you said. You don't know them and they don't know you. All of these people don't know each other. So the lie tour that he's going on talking about everybody else's background when they saying allegedly what he did was disgusting, and then it falls.
It was.
So
A young girl is what it involved, a young girl.
right.
And so here's the thing is that you can seal whatever you want to, but guess what you can't seal? You can't seal going to Frisco PD, police department, and saying, hey, Jeffrey Charles Metcalf on such and such date, was he arrested? They'll tell you, yeah, because the record don't go nowhere. They just can't give you the details. Right. And so they'll tell you that, yes, there is a record and there is an imprint, but we just can't give you the moment. And so, but we already had it. We had it before they sealed it. And so that's how we know about it. And plus, I'll just put this on the record. It's something that's not uncommon to his people at his church. They've had 3 pastors have to step down for doing the same thing at Hope Fellowship Church in Frisco, Texas. That's not alleged. That's actually on record. And so, yeah.
You know, why
so
these videos talk about he knows what you people do. Well, we know what you people do too, sir.
Correct. And we know how they get away with it. You know, just like the pastor that was the advisor to Cheeto Man up there that's running this country. Dude did some horrible stuff to a 13-year-old girl, and he got 6 months. 6 months. That's it. And you got people that are doing 30, 40 years right now for a whole lot less. They were just alleged to do whatever, and nobody even said what they did, but they doing 30, 40 years. You have the young man that was friends to Ken Paxton and the governor in the Republican Party. What he did, he's supposed to be serving lifetime for what he did to that young man for 3 years. And they probated that thing. I mean, they scaled that thing down to a misdemeanor charge where he just did 1 day time served. And so this is the difference of the judicial system that we're all talking about, that a lot of times people don't think about until it affects you. And that's kind of what we have to put ourselves in the position of the Anthony family. You're not thinking about the day in, the day out of all this stuff until it visits your door. And now all of a sudden, through the trauma, the drama, and the confusion, now you got to try to figure out the weight of a system that wasn't even designed for you, that was actually designed to keep you down. And now you got to go try to navigate it in truth and honesty, and then trust people that you don't even know to navigate you through it correctly. And that's kind of what we're facing. And that's why we have to call out this foolishness from Jeff Metcalf and Megan Metcalf and whoever else want to come up with a drama. Yes, we all can point fingers at each other, but let's just talk about the truth and the facts and the fiction. And let's talk about that, and let's do what's right. And I'm going to tell you this as well. In the beginning, when Jeff Metcalf was talking about he was a good Christian, and that if Andrew Anthony was a good Christian, he will make Carmelo tell the truth. I told Jeff Metcalf myself directly that, hey, if that's the case and that's how you stand, cool. We know the truth. So won't you be a good Christian? Get Hunter. We'll meet you down at Collin County. And we always stand behind you and Hunter while he tell the truth about what happened. Oh, I made that plea to him directly on Facebook. I made that plea on TikTok. I made that plea in every way I could directly to Jeff Metcalf since he wanted to talk. And I told him we would stand behind him and his family like we standing behind Carmelo so we could get the truth out. Nobody wanted nobody to go to jail. We just wanted the truth to come out so people can understand that Austin already lost his life because he could not keep his hands to himself. And people have to understand that bullying is not the way. And so if your son, who is still living, can go out there and just tell the truth, we as a community will stand behind y'all and make sure everything was okay. And we will make sure that that boy didn't have to do no time, but we will correct the record, get these charges off of Carmelo, and everybody can move on with their life. And all y'all go sue Frisco ISD for not protecting the kids. Oh, I told him that. He wasn't interested. Right. And so since he wasn't interested, that tells you how evil they are. They are not interested in the truth, don't want the truth, don't care nothing about no truth. They just care about filling their pockets, getting what they can out of this, because they got probably triple indemnity on that life insurance policy on Austin when they seen that Carmelo got charged with murder. They gave him triple indemnity on whatever plan they had. So they paid. That's why they all got new houses, new cars.
Tell me what that means when you say triple indemnity. What does that mean?
That means if you have a life insurance policy on your loved one, and they are tragically taken away by murder or some of that nature, then most policies would triple your policy. You'll hear that the double policy for accidental death and all that kind of stuff, but when it becomes a tragic to where someone murdered you or something like that, they will triple the amount. So if you got $100,000 policy, you just got 300 grand.
You know what? I was just saying the other day, I've been had policies for years. I said one day I'm gonna sit down and read everything. You know, I just learned with our policies that if you become disabled, you don't have to pay it anymore. I didn't know that.
Correct. It'll pay it for you. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we know they've been grifting. Somebody just sent me another GoFundMe that they just set up as it relates to this particular case. So you feel strongly in saying that Collin County has covered up records as it relates to this man. I've also heard, and some things you don't know if it's just gossip, rumors, or if it's true. They've also said that with his divorce against the twins' mom, that this Judge Roach's wife, who is an attorney, actually handled that. I don't know. Did you hear that?
I've seen some records. Someone shared some online the other day. We've been looking to see if we can get the actual records. Again, they're sealed. And so we're trying to go back and look at what we had. I do know at some point, both of their representations said pro se. So that means they were representing themselves. That doesn't mean that she wasn't advising them, because they all know each other. We know that she was actually dealing with a lot of stuff with Ken Paxton and other people like that. So they have all kind of ties within the Roaches, the Willises, all of them are all intertangled with their wives and them, and it falls down to the Metcalfs as well. And so that part I have not identified because I don't remember who was representing them at the time, but I do know at some point in there it did say that they were handling each other pro se, but they did get representation at some point as well, because it did get ugly and they had to worry about custody and all these other things they were dealing with. So it wouldn't surprise me if that record that I saw the other day was true, because it did say that she was actually representing one of them in that matter, and it may be on the mediator. She may have became the mediator is the reason why that she was on there. But it's the same thing. She had something to do with their lives, and she knows them prior. And that's what's really funny, is that Judge Roach had the caucasity to get up there on that interview and say that I wouldn't know him before this trial. If he walked up to me, I had no dealings with him. Dude, we know y'all been at the same parties. We know y'all been at the same fundraisers. We know that all those things are true. And you saying you don't know this man? You done better just saying, I didn't think it was a conflict of interest.
I didn't think it was a conflict of interest, because they screenshotted it. Even listen, he doesn't have to personally know him. He can know somebody that knows him. He can know him indirectly. He could have been at the same place with him. It doesn't, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't even have to be a direct connection. It is as little as him sharing his GoFundMe, which they said
in the beginning. He did.
That is a conflict of interest. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even the attorneys who were able to look at this, even his interview, they said his interview was enough. Because you know what he said in his interview? He thought he was guilty.
Correct.
Judge.
He said that. And then he said that he was going to make sure that it was in the circuit, which he don't control. But he said he was going to make sure it's in the circuit. Then he said that he had to take this case. Now, I've been told, this is not on the record, but I've been told by someone off the record that it wasn't even supposed to go to him. It was going to a different judge. He took it. And that's kind of where we are with this moment. It was set up from the beginning. And that's why the alarm bells was on me and others to get this family to fire Mike Howard and get this case disposed of, because I just know that Carmelo did not have to go through what he's going through right now, being in prison. However, we're here. And so now we have to focus on getting him back home and getting him out of this system. That's what we have to focus on now. But this is a warning and a lesson to the rest of us. When you hear sound advice, I don't care where it's coming from. If you riding by and a squirrel in a tree whispers to you and tell you to go right instead of left, go right instead of left, because at some point this information is coming to you for a reason. And we have to learn to start trusting our gut, start learning to trust what we know is right, and stop listening to the folks that we can see in the back of our eye lobes at night, that these folks is doing something to me. I just can't put my hands on it. And I know that that's the way that these folks felt, because they had so much coming at them at one time. And I feel so much for Andrew Anthony and Kayla Hayes Anthony, because they had so much put up on them in such a short period of time. And I can only imagine how that feels in that moment. Now, I've faced my own issues. I faced all that, but my kids didn't have to go through that. And so I don't know that part from my kid's standpoint. So I can just imagine the hurt, the pain, the heartache, and all the things they had to deal with. And so when I hear people talking down on them and just shake my head,
Right.
that same judgment that you're putting up on them back on you. And when I hope that you have as much grace and understanding like they had during this time, and patience to be able to move through this moment and navigate through it.
Right. Yeah, I can't say, listen, I block people. If you come in here saying anything about the parents, you got to go. Because for one, as a parent, I can go through things that I don't know what I would do if my kids, grown kids, go through it. It's not the same. Now, I always say that Carmelo, and this is, I'm not a lawyer, he had multiple ways to beat this case. For one, the self-defense. That was just one. Because he was attacked by multiple individuals, Texas have a law called the Texas Multiple Assailant Doctrine. This is also self-defense, but it applies when more than one person attacks or a member of a group attacks you. And it says the same thing as it does with the self-defense, that whatever, you can do whatever you feel that you reasonably perceive. And that's the word that people need to understand. Reasonable to me is not reasonable to you. Listen, the other day I was visiting a friend, right? And I was shutting the door and this lady was just cursing. And I heard the lady on the phone. I assumed she was talking to somebody on her phone. So I went to say hi, and the lady just started swinging. I had to beat that damn lady up. First of all, what the f is you swinging at me for? I don't know. I had to take her down because, listen, I got to defend myself, lady. What issue? What's wrong with this lady? So you see what I'm saying? What's reasonable to me ain't reasonable to you. When I see somebody going into a frenzy and you coming, I'm going to do bloop, bloop. What? Go away now. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's all about. So reasonable is different. For me, do not come in my space with crazy. If you're going to say something and it's crazy, just give me space. I don't allow people to come in my space because I don't know what you might do. You see what I'm saying? So somebody else be like, okay, that just stay over there. That's me. Just don't come in my face. Now, if you come in my face and when you do this, I'm going to make sure your hand don't touch me. So what's reasonable to you is not reasonable to everyone else. So I just feel like he had multiple ways to get out of this. So do you got anything else you want to say before you go? I appreciate you, your commentary that you provide. What are you doing without telling them? Because they're watching about what you're doing, but how do you plan on, continuing to, be involved? And that doesn't have to be in a manner where you're reaching out to the parents. I keep telling people, leave the parents alone. You don't need to reach out to them. If you do something, just do it. You see what I'm saying? Like, think about somebody going through this. First of all, they still got to pay their bills. They still got to live their life. They still got to deal with their son's everyday issues. You don't need to reach out to them. Just do what it is you need to do. Like I said, listen, I can talk about this. I can bring guests and we can keep the word out. This is me doing what I can do. Whatever you can do, if it's nothing then going to Twitter and talking about it on Twitter, do whatever you can do. Leave the parents alone. You don't need to keep reaching out to them. Leave them alone. That's what I said.
Correct. And basically that's in a nutshell. Just continue. I'm still fighting for Carmelo, still making sure that he's okay there in TDCJ. That's something that I can do. Everybody can do. You don't have to, be writing them all the time and all that good stuff either. But you can make sure he's okay. You can pray for him. You can, you can advocate for him. You can do all the things that you need to do. Also, still getting facts out, things that we know from the investigations we've done, getting those things out to the necessary people so they can have them for the appeal and for lawsuits. They need that as well, because there's going to be a lot of lawsuits flying at some point in time. And so they need all that factual information, getting all the stuff that we've learned out, but also still advocating for others. There's other people I'm advocating for as well, and making sure they're okay. We have a whole case out in Ellis County, out in Midlothian, that happened last year as well in July of 2025 with a young man named Christopher Nienhuis, to where one of the deputies' sons and his friends decided to attack him. And the whole time he was retreating, he pulled out his pocket knife, and you can see him telling him to get away, but he's retreating. And he happened to swipe, and he swiped at the deputy's son, and they charged him with aggravated assault and having a deadly weapon. And it's clear on video. The video was on the TV the next day. And they did the same thing, start covering up. When we started requesting for the video from the rec center that they were at, they were like, oh, we don't have no footage. You clearly have cameras there, and you clearly have the footage. And so all those things are things that we can still do. Advocate for our community, advocate for those that's there. When I was at court on last Friday, my judge was having an actual trial. I was able to talk to that family. So if that case didn't go the way that young man needed to go, advocate for those people. We have so many people that we need to stand up for and fight for, and make sure the system does not engulf them into some unnecessary. We can stand up and do that every day. So that's what I'm doing. Yes, I have to still pay my bills. I got to do all the things I got to do, but I am going to, at some point, start doing this full time and go into advocacy, go into the moment of investigating and making sure that people get the justice they need, whether they're in the system or out of the system, whether they're getting ready to newly be in the system or keeping people from even getting to the system. Whatever that looks like, that's what I'm going to start doing, and that's what I am doing.
Okay. Well, make sure if you do create you a nonprofit. Okay. I remember, back some years ago, I used to own my own school. And guess what I did? I did my own nonprofit application. You know how people get lawyers and they thousands of dollars. I actually had a lawyer, but I was like, every day you're asking me, well, what about this? I'll just do my own application. You know what I mean? So I did my own application. Yeah. It was a very extensive application, but I just finished it over days. Just make sure if you're going to do it, that you get you a nonprofit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's great. Somebody asked this question. I don't know if this is something that you'll be able to answer, because I don't know. It says, did the judge prepare the witnesses before trial? Did you hear anything?
It's funny because I've heard people say that and accuse that. What I do know is that when the witness Jose was testifying, remember the prosecution was asking him all kind of questions, whether defense, I don't know who called him, I think defense called him, and he was basically saying exactly what it is that which the defense moment for Carmelo. He was speaking for Carmelo, and his whole testimony was saying, hey, these folk did this to him, they jumped him, he was asked to come up under the canopy, all that. They took a recess for 2.5 minutes. They took young Jose into the judge's chambers, and when he came back out, the prosecution it was the prosecution's time to cross. And the prosecution asked him a couple of questions, and it was, who you think was at fault? He said Carmelo. Is what he said. Now, he just got through testifying the whole time that these people aggressed up on Carmelo, and they did all this stuff to Carmelo, and then you take a recess, go in the chambers, and all of a sudden this young man is saying Carmelo's at fault. That tells me he got coached in the judge's chambers.
So do you know who went? Did Carmelo attorney go back there? Do you know who went back there with him?
He had to have, because if he did not, that's ex parte communication. Right. So that's a reason to have the judge actually recuse from the whole case. We saw that happen in the Young Thug trial. Remember, we watched all that on TV. So we got to see what ex parte communication can get you.
The difference, though, is Brian Steele is a real attorney. So Brian Steele didn't see it. he was told. So what he did was ask the judge, and the judge
Yeah.
actually screwed himself, because instead of him answering, he said, "Who told you that?"
Yeah, because it's supposed to have been a moment of secret that he was doing, and to be honest with you, the judge was right to do it based on what he was doing, but it's still ex parte communication. And so when Brian Seals found out about it, he had a right to protest it. But it was a multiple of things that at that point Brian Steele was complaining about, and that's what led to the attorney to be gone. But in this situation, if Mike Howard was in there and this happened, that leads him into the conspiracy of doing malfeasance against his own client, ineffective assistance of counsel. If he was not privy and he was out there with Carmelo and them, and it was just the witness and the DA and the judge, that's ex parte communication, because the defense does not have a representative in there.
Yeah, either way is wrong.
Either way is wrong.
Either way.
Because they coach the witness, and so it doesn't matter, because Jose's his testimony changed in 2.5 minutes when he went into your chambers. So what say you, judge? And that's what it comes down to. And so this entire trial was just ignorance. It was just ignorance of what the system is not supposed to be like. And regardless of what the judge wants to do, the prosecution wants to do, a real attorney would have been out of them steps, and they would have had all them cameras there, and they've been like, hey, my client is not going to get a fair trial. We're getting ready to seek to have this whole thing moved. And what they would have been out there ranting and raving to everybody that listened because of what was going on in the court. Not one time did anybody from Mike Howard's firm or Mike Howard or anybody, Toby Shook, came outside and said anything about what was going wrong in the trial, because they were part of it. Bottom line. And they were part of it. Yeah.
Now, somebody said, has the juror's name? No, the juror's name have not been released. They're on seal, I believe. No, they haven't been released. I mean, so how can I put this? Let's say like the appellate lawyers and stuff, they would find out, but no, they're not going to release those jurors' names to the public. I mean,
no, they have to want to come and speak. They give them the option. They can come speak and they can do whatever. I know that a few of the alternate jurors, not alternate, my bad. A few of the people who answered their jury summonses have spoken to people privately and told them what their recount was and what they felt and what they saw. As far as the alternates or the actual jurors, I don't have any knowledge of none of them speaking. I wouldn't want to if I was them anyway, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be too good for them out there in them streets, because people know how they did to Carmelo. Period. Even if I've had a person that supported the Metcalfs the entire time since last year. I've went back and forth talking to this person since last year. Don't you know they hit me up that day? They actually came out there to the courthouse and drove up and pulled me to the side and said, I never thought they were ever going to be able to convict him. That's what they told me. And they said, this is just they said, yes, I was saying all I was saying, but I was just trolling. They said, I never thought that in my lifetime that they would do this to this young man, knowing what we knew, is what that person told me. And so a lot of times people forget. People on the internet, some of these people playing games, they being keyboard warriors, they doing all this stuff. Some of them folks half don't believe anything they say. They're just doing it for clicks and likes and the coins that they get. And so to see what I saw once he got convicted, I spoke to about 15 folks out there that night, and they all came up there. One little boy was trying to give me his money back that somebody paid him to be an agitator out there to all of us out there with signs for Carmelo. He didn't want the money no more because he said it was just money he was getting for the summer. And he didn't think that Carmelo ever would have got convicted, because how now is he going to defend himself from bullies? That boy was crying. And so this is the reality of what people really felt, because they just thought the system would protect Carmelo from all these crazy people, and it did not. And so that's the reason why we need you, sis. We need folks like you to be out here speaking and bringing the truth and bringing the facts and keeping this alive, not just for Carmelo, but for my grandkids, for my nieces and nephews, for my great nieces and nephews, for my godkids that I'm godfather to, for all those people, keeping this thing going for them. So God forbid they're in this position. We as a community know what to do to stand up for them. Say, God forbid it's one of y'all kids or grandkids or nieces and nephews. We all as a community can stand up and come to their aid and make sure they're okay. Because this system is good. The system is good. It's the people that run it and that's here dealing with it. That's what make it bad. Bottom line.
Right. Yeah, because we got people like Megan. It's a bunch of them on there that's talking a bunch of bullshit. Like I just saw a video. I didn't click it where Jeff with his raggedy ass still doing these, like you say, Beyonce world tours, talking about people are threatening him. Man, you created the hound dogs that's out here threatening folks. If you don't get the FUC somewhere and sit your down somewhere with these lies,
he learning like Jake Lane out there at the BET Awards real quick. People will put hands on you.
Quick. And I gotta do a video. You should have heard me yelling like, what? This is the same man that Donald Trump pardoned. Judge Roach let this idiot out and he's doing it again.
Yeah. Don't know how to sit down somewhere.
Whoop his, like, this is just, man, like, you just got out your own bail and you go to another black event with a sign talking about black parents. They ran this. I bet you he got the word that day. You're not gonna come over here with this.
That man got kicked. He got hit. He got all kind of things yesterday. He ain't doing that no more for a while.
They said, don't bring your ass to LA with this. You thought you was gonna come up here? No, they was not playing. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna let you go. You've been here long enough, but I'll reach out. We're gonna keep this conversation going.
Most definitely, anytime.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, y'all take care.
Bye-bye. Now, I've read everybody's super chat. I do need you guys to like the video. Now, I checked the likes. It was only like 7 something. Guys, it's over 2,000 people here. Well, we got 1,623 on my Lakeysha Keysha page, another 399 on my Lakeysha TV page, which is with a total of 2,015 people. Let me explain to y'all again the way the algorithm works. The more people like the video, you actually move the video through the system. And that's exactly what we need to do, because we got people like that lady, white tea lady, Megan, on here telling lies about Carmelo and his family over there with 4 million followers, but using her platform to spread lies because that's what she does, because she's an old white tea racist. Okay. So the more you all like the video is the more people get to it, because I support the Karmelo Anthony family, and I don't give a damn who like it and who don't. Okay, so I have read the first, Dwayne has answered these first 2 chats right here. And then with this one, I'm not going to, answer this. Dwayne has already spoke about that. I'm skipping that. He's not here to talk about his record, but he did talk about that previously on my channel. I'm not going to keep asking him the same questions. Free this baby. Thank you for the $5. And we've already read that one. The $2 super chat. Did the judge prepare the witnesses? And then we did this one. Have the jurors' names been released? So we have read all of the super chats. Now, I need you guys to go ahead and like the video. I got to get out of here because as we were on live, they were blowing my phone up because I got some more information on these folks. Okay, so I got to go. Make sure you guys like the video. Thank you for joining, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.
Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. Watch words like spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear.